And that pig squeal means we're live. Welcome, y'all.
What an amazing intro. It's just so catchy.
Thank you for that. Ben's the third mastermind that came up with the idea for the jingle and getting Cheddar in there. So it's all him.
Nice.
I get welcome y'all, ZLS 043. And we've got, this is our first 2 guest cast I've done yet.
Woo-hoo.
And so I'm super excited about that. Even more excited about who the 2 of them are. We've got Nicole, who was our very first guest ever on ZLS. So welcome back, Nicole. How are you doing?
Yay! What an honor. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. And for our we have friend Ben Cabanes from Narwhal. How you doing, Ben? Ben, you're frozen.
Ben can't hear anyone.
Oh no.
It's okay.
Well, we had Ben.
He'll be back. They always come back.
They always come back. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay.
We lost Ben.
Hey, do you hear me now?
We hear you now, Ben.
Yay!
Can you hear us? There we go. Technical difficulties.
Ben
It's
was
all right.
This is a very subtle intro. No one's talking.
Well, Ben, I was just introducing you as my good friend and coworker at Narwhal. So super excited to have you on the stream, Ben. Is your first time on the stream? Hopefully.
Super excited too.
Thanks, man. So we're here today. We're here today to talk design systems. And I'm super excited to have both of y'all because y'all have worked a lot on design systems, whereas I have not. So I feel like I come at design systems with a big misconception of what they even are. So Ben, do you want to give us like some information, some background on what design system is, how you work on it, what you do, that kind of thing?
So I guess the first thing to discuss about is what is a design system. Like a design system is a collection of things that will help you get consistency among multiple products, basically. So there are multiple schools of thought about design system, but mostly you can have the tone of text and to address the user, and you can also have a component library attached to it, and graphics, illustrations, and pretty much all the marketing tools also to address the user or the people that you do your product for.
Nice. Hey, Brandon.
Brandon.
Hi.
I think he meant it's a Narwhalian party there.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
There it is.
He's got his party hat on.
Thanks for stopping by, Brandon.
So that's the brief introduction for a design system.
Yeah, I feel like I hear design system and I hear component library. And I've built component libraries before, and I thought I was building design systems. So, like, what's the difference there? Like, how would you describe like the difference between a component library and design system?
Yeah, like I said, the design system is a collection of things. So the component library is one part of that collection. You're most used to the component library because you're a developer and and you want to consume that to speed up your development process and be able to develop your product rapidly. But the design system is really a collection of things. So the component library is only one part, and this is not even the first part of it. Like the first part of it will be how to address the user depending on which type the user we have, what is your product, what is our brand, the color of a brand, the way that you personalize the brand, and the way that the brand is speaking to the users. All that comes before the component library that you want to use inside the design system. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, so
Yeah.
so you've mentioned like it's a collection of things. Well, first maybe Nicole, do you agree? Do you agree with the way
No.
Ben's describing it?
I
Okay.
actually have an opposing opinion. No, I do agree.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's that I think that characterizes it pretty well. One thing that I would add is that I think that it's easier to think of a design system as like sort of an abstraction of like all of these pieces. So you have like a component library, maybe like some documentation on voice and tone, like Ben mentioned, a number of assets that you use, as well as like just any documentation that you have that. Yeah, this is gonna be like a battle. Like you always make your
Well,
you always make the like cover images look like it's some kind of like fight scene.
yeah.
This is where it's starting.
We got
No,
Nicole versus Ben. I'm just
not
happy to
even
be
5
around.
minutes on, and yeah, battle.
Yeah, so you have like all of these sort of artifacts that come from the design system, and then the design system itself is like an abstraction layer that's like above all those pieces that kind of like takes it into account the way that you just think about your product or series of products. And then like all of those libraries and everything that comes out of it are just sort of, they're artifacts of that series of thoughts. Mm-hmm.
And each of those artifacts target a specific team or a specific amount of users. So inside your design system, you will have your illustrations, or you will have your design, which are more targeted to the marketing people or the design people. And you also have the component library, which is specifically targeted to the developer creating the product. You won't really have marketing people or design people using those component library. You will mostly have developers. But everything is inside the design system as a whole, like Nicole said. And each of those artifacts are and can be consumed independently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
when
we're talking like design system, I always think of it through the lens of web design, web development, that kind of thing. But it sounds like it would almost be like if you had a design system for an org, maybe this would come down to like the pamphlets you print out for a conference or something like that. Is that? Am I on the right track there?
When you say an org, what do you
like an organization, a company, some sort of entity? Like if you're trying to establish a brand for some entity, that's what you build the design system for. Or I'm actually not sure if that's even it. Like, because your design system could potentially be across multiple orgs, right? Like we were talking about material, for example, which is kind of like a design system by Google, but it's like meant for other people to use it as well. People even developing their own brand, right?
Yeah, but still, you still have that kind of a feeling of material because of all the guidelines and all the documentation to have the feel of a material design. We always see, on the web when websites are using Bootstrap, because every website using Bootstrap looks the same, and we kind of see exactly the same when people are using material. Every button has the the over effects with the little circle, and every kind of website look pink, indigo, yellow, or blue. So this is still a design style, a touch of Google. But they have multiple products. They use material design throughout all the products. And for your pamphlet, if you have a digital product, you want your pamphlet to kind of be in the same design world, the same colors, the same brand as your digital products, for people to be easily recognizable, because this is your product. And having a design system this is how you get consistency between your products and your pamphlet, for example, because your pamphlet will have the same colors, the same illustration, the same illustration that are maybe on the website. And the way that you are talking to people on the website, you will keep that way of communication and voice and tone inside your pamphlet, because this is the brand of your product. Or maybe not. Maybe you don't want to do this at all for your pamphlet and go rogue. But that's the point of a design system.
Yeah.
The design system is to keep consistency between a whole range of product and a common use. So
yeah, I think consistency is really the key there, because even for like some like brand where you like kind of want to go rogue, you still want consistency, right? Like you still want it to sound like it's kind of coming from the same person or the same group. And I'm sure there's all kinds of like depth in like sort of the marketing side of things that at least I wouldn't be able to go into, because I just don't have that expertise. But I definitely like it when I can feel like there's consistency in a brand, so that I don't know, like establishes trust or something like that. There's some psychological component there that
I'm sure there is.
Yeah. Well, the way humans like perceive things, consistency is huge, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of like building that relationship, you can't build a relationship if there's nothing there to build a relationship with. If you're changing things up every single time you make a new product or something like that, you need something, some glimmer of that relationship to persist throughout, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And even in a basic sense, when you remember a few years back when you go to the website, and so the front page of the website has some kind of buttons that are like blue and has some little radius, and when you go through the website on another page, there is a completely different button for the same action, but it looks completely different, and you don't know why. Suddenly it's like very angly button and no drop shadows, and this is completely yellow and not blue or something like that.
Yeah, and the truth is that button is completely different because they hired somebody new to implement it, and they were like, this button looks terrible. I'm going to make a new cool button and only use it in the interfaces that I develop.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so it sounds like this may be part of the reason why design systems exist, to kind of get rid of those types of problems. Is that right?
I think so, and also to just have like, to unify the thinking among like different team members. But I think it also, like, artifacts like a style guide or things that represent the design system in some way can help unify somebody's thinking across like different brands. Like I'm kind of thinking about like what Ben put together for Narwhal, which Ben and Chelsea, and we can't forget our amazing designer Chelsea. Shout out to Chelsea.
Chelsea.
So I mean, like, we have a few different products, and Ben, you should probably talk more about this, but like we have like the narwhal.io, we have NX, we have NX Cloud, and they all have sort of like different look and feels, but they still tie together in some way.
You can definitely tell it's the same company making all three of those things.
Yeah,
even they're not like exactly the same.
Yeah, and I think that's important to our like brand identity, to like kind of have them tie together.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great example, because like Narwhal.io is addressing a message really different than NX Cloud or NX.dev, but this is still the same company, so they should kind of look the same, but not really. And you can have different colors, but the main colors, you can have different brand colors for each website, but the main colors from the company should still be recognizable. And that's well, that's the designer job, and in this case, Chelsea, which is really, really great. That's a really, she's really, really good at it.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, like everyone in Narwhal, but she's the only designer. She's more awesome than everybody else.
Yeah, she's our true MVP.
Yeah.
The MVP.
And another thing from the design system is that you have all those artifacts and everything is documented. So it's also a way of communicating inside the company itself, between teams and between departments. You have the marketing department, you have the developer department, you have the designer department. Maybe they all are inside the same team in a very good case, but sometimes they are split up and they are all siloed. And the fact that having a design system, it kind of glue everyone together to like a source of truth. And with that documentation, they know exactly how to address the user and with what elements and what is the proper way to do it, basically. When you start a new framework and you want to learn something, you want to do it right. You always look for the right way to do it. And this is kind of the right way to do it that is prescribed by the company.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it seems to me like there's almost like this design philosophy that it's like this amorphous thing, like not something that actually exists in some artifact. Would you consider the design system to be like something directly tied to that philosophy that expresses what that philosophy is? Or I'm trying to get at, what is a design system? Is it that philosophy, or is it some documentation somewhere that lets us know what that philosophy is? Do you see the distinction I'm trying to make?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right, Zach. It's kind of like like I kind of said before, it's like a abstraction. And what I mean by that is just that it's like, it's like a set of ideas that you kind of pull together that guide your thinking, and then like you have a number of like pieces that actually implement that, so that you can define like the puzzle pieces and how they fit together for these different areas, like marketing, like development, design, all that.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. I'm glad I'm starting to get it. So yeah, maybe we could go into so Ben, when you worked on the design system for Narwhal, what did that work specifically look like?
So I was only on the component library side. So we were three. We had Amanda that were doing, the voice and tone and the marketing stuff. We have Chelsea that is taking those things, turning it up to design and communication, and she did a really good job with actually taking the voice and tone and applying it to what kind of illustration do we want, what is the style of those illustration, what colors do we want, what's the color palette that is extracted from those primary and secondary colors, and all the style around the components. Do we want more rounded component, or the aspect of the component and the UI in general? And then she drilled down into, okay, so we have a component, we extract that into little pieces, and we design those little pieces. And my job is to get those little pieces and reconstruct everything to get those components that she created.
Okay.
Basically, this is it.
Yeah, that's actually, I think that's like a really interesting piece of creating like a component library, or like a style guide, or something that developers reference in order to get like the building blocks for their applications. Is that you have you have to like break everything down into like a generic enough form that people can find what they need, from like really basic styles like typography and colors and what like all of those elements mean or where they should be used, and then more specific things like form elements or just like general like custom components that go on the page that are meant for this very particular use. And I don't know, I think it's kind of an art, like not an art, that's maybe a little too fancy. It's a process.
It's a difficult process for sure. And it involves multiple people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think art is a perfect word for it, really. Honestly, I don't know, but kind of maybe getting into that. And this is something that I think we've talked about before, Nicole. But like it seems like distinct differences in roles that some people on this team that are trying to build something are coming across. Like if you think about the entire app, Nicole and I have talked before about how I think there's like an engineering skill set over here that's like engineering to get a design on the screen, and another engineering tool set that's like, or skill set that's there to like figure out how to get the data to work right so that piece can be like hydrated with stuff. I think that there's a very discrete separation between like a designer and a developer though, and specifically in like the skill set that they may have. Like design seems to me to be a skill set that doesn't require technical knowledge, and you want like designers that maybe don't have technical knowledge so that they can actually design instead of, I feel like as a developer, if I ever try to do design, I automatically think of, well, how can I make this work? Like in CSS, I immediately think of CSS. So yeah, when y'all work with designers to try to build, take their ideas and turn them into something, what do you do? What's your work process for that?
I actually would like to, I mean, we've talked about this before, actually on the first like stream that I was on, yeah. Zach. But I would be curious to know what Ben's thought about that idea is, that like, that design and dev are like such different skill sets.
I think they are really complementary. And I think the way that a designer can think in a way a developer can think is actually kind of the same thing. So we all are developers here, but basically when we need to create a feature, we kind of explode the feature in multiple pieces, okay? Mm-hmm. And we start from the high level of what the feature what is the feature, what do we want to accomplish? And then we explode that feature into multiple little features that we can address one by one, okay? And designing is kind of exactly the same thing. You have your rough idea, and then you start little pieces. Well, you start your draft, and then you explode your draft into little pieces, and then you refine, and then you assemble back everything together, and this is your final product. So it's kind of exactly the same mentality. And if you, Nicole, I know you know about atomic design, but this is something. This is a pattern that dev and designer follows like naturally, basically.
What is atomic design? I'm not familiar with that term.
So the atomic design has been created by Brad Frost, which is a developer / designer. And he's the one that bring the idea to the table a few years ago. And basically you have inside the atomic design, you have the atom, and then you have the molecule, and then you have something bigger like an organism, which is made of multiple molecules which are made of multiple. Yeah, this is exactly what we are talking about here.
Yeah.
So again, you have the atom, which is the little pieces, and then you have the molecule, which are made of atoms, and then you have the organism, which are made of molecules, and then you have some kind of template. I think he was calling that the templates, which are made of multiple organisms, and then you have the full flow page, which are made of templates. And in each of those steps, you have a degree of reality increased. So you have more and more details. You start, for example, with the how your text, your anchor will look like just alone. Then you will. That is your atom.
That's your atom. Okay.
That's a text link.
Okay.
And then you create your molecule with, let's say you want to have a list of text link. So you're gonna design your molecule to have that, and then reusing the atoms that you created before, which is your text link. And then you want to have an organism that is kind of your header. So now you bring more molecule or more atom to the mix, and then you put your header inside a page, which is kind of the template of your website, and then you have your full-fledged website with all the templates that you added and all the molecules that are complete, that are inside your templates and organism and everything. So this is kind of the Russian puppets, or I don't, yeah.
What is that? The
Russian dolls.
Russian dolls. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One inside of another, inside of another. But it sounds
like exactly. This is exactly that.
You put two Russian dolls at some levels, or some multitude of them, right?
Yeah. There is a one-to-many relation.
Yeah. It's the old one-to-many Russian doll scenario. Got it.
It's yeah. Sounds like you need a base case. Got too much recursion going on.
Oh yeah.
We're going down to the atomic level on this. But yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
because
that's interesting. I've always thought of design as like this holistic thing. Like I guess maybe because I only see the end result, but it's really interesting to see that as similar to the work I do, which is
what do you mean? What do you mean holistic? Just curious.
Like, I feel like I get the end products. Like I get the component library, or I get the finished design system as documentation to look at. And I don't know. I guess I kind of assume when you're doing something with artistry like that, it's like maybe I just don't understand the process. But like if I get into like the flow I want to, I kind of take off the test-driven design stuff where I say, I'm going to define what my correct result is. And I'm going to define that with the test. And when I get that test to go green, like time to move on, time to go on to the next thing and keep on building off of that. I don't see a way to define something as done or something as correct when it comes to design. And this was, yeah. I mean, I think that partially is like there is even a parallel there with design, I think, because like when you're developing something, like you develop it until you get the test to pass, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have the best solution, right? Like you can have a solution that makes the test pass, but like it could be a lot more efficient, or it could be a lot more readable, or like there's lots of ways that you could improve on something like that. I think it's the same with design. But like that idea really makes sense to me, Ben. Like the what you said about like design, like all the parallels, because I had a very similar experience in college, because I was an art student, and I went in for like studio art, like drawing and painting, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna live this like super romantic life where I'm just like
at home drinking wine, like drawing and painting, and things are just gonna like come to me like dreams in the night, and I'm gonna be like so creative and like I don't know. I just had this like really unrealistic idea of like what drawing and painting as a major or as a lifestyle was going to be. And as I got more and more into it, I realized that like drawing and painting is very methodical. The way that you come up with ideas for like pieces, series, like things that you're putting together when you're creating art is like a very methodical process. And when I started learning to code, I was really surprised at how similar the processes were. Like as I was putting together a page or a component or something like that, it was the same like breakdown of like, okay, I have this goal, I have these factors to take into account. I need to approach like each of these pieces from a different perspective in order to make sure that in art, it would be like the composition, the values have to be balanced. There have to be, there's all these like pieces that you have to sort of check off, and development is pretty similar in my experience.
Yeah,
it really surprised me.
It's interesting.
It's everything is in layer, and I guess when you start painting, I don't know, but maybe you start with the background, or some kind of a black and white draft or something, or you start with your pencil and then you add your paint. But I see you always kind of refactor your art, like your painting, because when you add light, you need to add light not just at one point. You need to add light to everything in the scene. And then you need to touch all the colors that you previously put on. And this is kind of refactoring in the code. Like suddenly you have a new feature. Now you need to change all the subsequent features that touch that current feature that you need to add. And you need to refactor. You need to create new classes. You need to extract some functions into utils or into other files or whatever. And this is very, very similar.
See,
but weirdly,
but you can't just import light. Like I feel like
the developer
just be like import light, done.
So the import would be just like, I don't know, getting the materials or like having the impetus to do that, and then like the actual implementation would be like the that would be the piece that you spend the time on, right? Gotcha. In this metaphor. This metaphor that we took way too far.
Way too far, for sure.
Just working with the metaphor still, and like sticking with the Russian doll thing. Like part of the piece I really like about development is how separate those pieces can be. Like I feel like at any point, if we're thinking of like a big software product as like that Russian doll model, I feel like at any point I can easily separate these things out, replace a piece in here, and then just like put everything back together and it's ready to go. I feel like with a painting, you kind of, if you wanted to make some fundamental change like that, it's almost like you've got to either start over. Like there's something about all those things being collapsed.
Yeah, but now you're kind of criticizing the digital versus the real, like the real life. So when you're still painting in digital, you can change or just stop with the painting right now. But when you're designing your website, you're designing it by components, and you try to have as little as like the smallest component possible. And when you want to, let's say, create a page, you're gonna just basically drag and drop the component that you already created. And if you want to change per se a brand color or a highlight color or the text color, you're gonna change that for your composition or only the component that you want to touch. And it's really, really great. And the fact that designer are kind of developer right now is very exacerbated by the tool that they're using. So if you take Sketch or Figma, those kind of tools let them create variables for their colors, symbols, which the equivalent for components into their composition. So they can reuse their symbols, aka components. They can reuse different variables for their colors, and everything is. If they change one variable, it will apply in every composition that they have on the project. So maybe they have X amount of composition for, oh, this is the home screen. Oh, this is the user screen. Oh, this is the home screen version mobile. And when they will change one component or one variable, everything will be up to date. So this is kind of coding.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, we can't use the painting metaphor anymore. We have to use like a Photoshop metaphor.
yeah, exactly.
There we go. Yeah. So I'm intrigued too. So you mentioned Figma and Sketch. So I've worked with Figma before. I have not worked with Sketch. Is Sketch like same idea?
Yeah, basically you can have oh, sorry, that's the Slack thing. You can have components or symbols, variables, compositions. Those are the two main products for designer that I know of, and they are very kind of the same tools, but Figma is only on browser oriented, and Sketch is only on Mac. This is a real application, like
a native app.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Which one? Wait, Figma does have a native application for.
That's true.
For Mac at least. There's also Adobe XD is similar, and Zeppelin is another one that
I've heard of Zeppelin before too. Yeah.
And the really cool thing with all those tools is that they kind of ease the communication between the designer and the developer. Let's say if you're a developer, you will consume in a different way, or you will use the tool differently from what a designer wants to do. So if you're a designer, you will focus on hexadecimals or HSL colors, and the designer just want another view that show that color with the right variable, the right name, and there's not the color displayed, but just the code of the color, like directly.
I think there's something on Figma that's like export CSS.
Exactly. And you can even choose in which language you want, like CSS, Android, or iOS, or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
The new like hot thing in this space is like design tokens. That's the piece that everybody's like talking about now. It's
what is this? I've never heard of this before.
I don't know what this.
Design tokens are like basically they allow you to define like a number of variables that can be used in both like these programs like Figma or like XD or any of these like sort of prototyping or design programs. You define them, and then designers can use them, and then they can be exported to like whatever language that you want. So that basically it allows like you to close that communication gap that says like I want like a headline 1, and like a designer has an idea of like what that is, and then a developer has an idea of what that is because it's implemented in whatever way that the developer decided to do that. Instead of like trying to manage that communication process, the design token just like does it for you. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
Sounds really cool.
So like a designer can just like add, like change that. Actually, like some of them have been kind of set up so that designers can change like live code. Like you just set it up, and they can like tweak the color or tweak the the sizes of border radiuses or something like that.
That's crazy.
That's
cool.
cool.
Really cool.
There's a number of
Yeah.
implementations of it, but that's the
Yeah.
hot new thing.
Well, I've always liked working. I have a friend from my last job. Sometimes he watches the show. His name's Josh Mace. So he's a designer, but he like whenever we would communicate, it was always in HTML and CSS because he happened
Sure.
to have that skill set. And that
Yeah.
was super nice. Like
Yeah,
I felt like
it's helpful.
I felt like there was like when we were talking about using Figma or even using the design token, it seems like it's almost like using a translator on your phone to talk between the two skill sets versus like having a natural conversation with someone. So
but now there is so much to know in a designer like perspective that having some basics on code is like, it's awesome for sure, but it's one thing that you need also to learn, and there is already much more that you can learn. You have to pick at some point.
Just learning all of Photoshop. I've been messing around with Photoshop just a little bit, and I know how to do a couple things.
You can't know all of Photoshop. That's an impossible skill.
That's impossible.
I don't believe it exists.
But giving someone this black hole of Photoshop and like expecting that black hole of knowledge, but also the black hole of HTML semantics, like CSS itself, I think is very hard to understand every piece about it.
Yeah. And depending on the browser you're viewing your CSS, it changes radically. So
yeah,
you have to take into that also when you're doing your CSS. And well, that's better now, but a few years back it was hell.
Yeah. Like back in like 2014 or so, like that was a bad time. But I remember the first, like I went to a design conference back around that time, maybe 2013, 2014. And there was, gosh, I can't remember who presented this, but he did a presentation on Flexbox back when we were still all using floats for everything. Yeah, it blew my mind. I like after the talk, I like went out into the hallway and like did like an actual like woohoo! Like I was so excited about it.
That's so awesome.
and then you're depressed because you can't use it because in
exactly.
In your company you still need to support IE 11. And if you really want to die, you have to support IE 6.
Yeah.
Because there is still companies or clients that use that kind of browser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? IE11 is when does support end for that? It's coming up, right? Like all official support for IE11 ends.
Oh, I think it's already. Yeah, I think it's already. It's already dead.
Yeah, it's already dead. Yeah, because there were Microsoft in it a few days ago, and they were saying all the products on Microsoft will show something that tells the user, hey, your Internet Explorer is too old or something.
Yeah.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Adam. Cool. So, okay. Super interesting to get into all this. The part of what I wanted to get y'all to do was kind of selfishly to see if I could get y'all to help me with my project, though. So,
this is why. Oh, I feel so betrayed. We wanted just to talk.
Well, let me throw up. This is just like where we're at with my little side project here. We've been working on stream. So, it's an RPG game, much in the vein of like Pokemon or something like that. And I'm trying to figure out like what do I need for my game. And I think like we had discussed before the stream, like going a full design system is probably overkill for this.
Yeah, you're a one-man project.
I'm a one-man project.
Don't forget that.
I've got limited time for this, so I don't want to be wasting time on a design system if that's meant to like unify a large group of people under one goal. I feel like I'm pretty unified under myself already. So I don't know
you want to keep your family also.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a family that needs tending to. Yes, but I do want to like. I don't know. I feel like y'all know me. If I'm putting out a feature and I don't have like some design specs to adhere to, you're going to get pretty close to plain HTML. And I feel like that's kind of where this is trending a little bit too. And so I feel like there's a lot that needs to happen in my game. I think I feel like I'm just maybe a little bit overwhelmed by the whole like by the sheer feat of how do I make this? How do I make someone feel the right thing when they come into my game? That's maybe the biggest thing.
Yeah. So do you have like can you give us like a 1-minute background on the game itself, or like basically what I'm trying to get at is like do you have any lore for this game, or like is there anything that like we can like kind of look at that's like I don't know, it just gives us the background of like how it should look.
Sure.
How do we play?
Let me do this. Well, so let me play is another thing. But let me go to this because I think let me make this bigger. I had this little flash thing or this little image that I think like tried to capture what this was going for. Like the sort of the neon in the background. I want it to be very
something.
Yeah, like kind of like Tron-ish almost. But
so kind of 80s feel.
Kind of 80s feel, yeah. I think the word I've used in the past to describe what I'm going for is like 80s glam crossed with like medieval warriors. Like
wow.
I don't know if that's a thing or not, but
I mean, it just sounds like 80s glam metal, like
yes, 80s glam metal kind of
yeah.
thing. I think that's what I'm going for. And like ideally I'd want like some for going to how the game is played. It should feel much like a Final Fantasy game. Are you all familiar with Final Fantasy? I don't know.
It depends on the type of, I mean, there were so many different games, right?
Yeah.
Which one?
So like the old school SNES ones.
I haven't played them.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So
I know what Final Fantasy is. I never played any of the games.
Gotcha.
And now I'm ashamed.
Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed.
I played some of the recent ones, but I haven't played like the originals. Actually, my husband was playing Final Fantasy VII the other day, right. And I was a little bit. I wouldn't play that game. It's not part of my history. So people keep telling me like, oh, you should play Final Fantasy VII. It's just like the most amazing game. But I think it's just like everybody's mind was like they remember their childhood and nostalgia, and it's like just so deep in their heart. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll play the remake.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, I was one of those that like played Final Fantasy VII. I was like, yes, this is like everything I want in a video game. But yeah, like the idea for the gameplay would be like there's some storyline. I'm still like working out what those are, but you play as yourself and you collect like the idea would be you collect heroes as you go around, and heroes can fight on your behalf for you for like overcoming some great evil. That's kind of the goal I'm going for. And it should be, I'm trying to make it like kind of like an MMO, so you'll be playing with other people as well. I don't know if
it's an MMO. Oh wow.
Whoa.
Sort of like
Zach, remember, you're just one person.
Well,
at some point you have to deliver that game, you know?
Yes, I know. Well, I
years.
What I've been focusing on, so all we see right now is like, in terms of the longer, the bigger game, going back to the Russian doll thing, like the bigger game is like the whole Russian doll stuff put together. I've been focusing on one of the organisms inside of this, which is like the battle part. So that's all we've been working on so far. I don't know if there's a good chance I'll never get out of just working inside of that molecule. So I'm just trying to focus on this one piece for now. Sure. And so the idea is we've got some, like in the larger game, all that story is going on. There's like a top-down view, and as you're progressing through the story and trying to beat some bosses or something like that. But inside of the battle, all we have is your team and the other team, and you have to fight. You have to fight and overcome the bad guys. So it's nothing.
Corbin the bad
original
guy
about that.
in this?
Yes.
Okay.
There's two teams going on right now.
Is it Zach and Corbin, or
it's Zach and Corbin? Yes.
So those are the teams.
Yes, those are the two teams right now.
So you're the team. You're one team.
I'm a team of one right now, and Corbin is my adversary.
Okay.
So what I kind of want to do. So these are just like some components to represent one unit. And eventually, I want it to be like a 6-on-6 battle, ultimately. So there's going to be much more of these. But what I was thinking of doing initially was just like putting Zach to the left-hand side, putting Corbin to the right-hand side, and like having a canvas in the middle that kind of has like sprites of our different heroes, and they'll kind of like lunge at each other when one attacks another. So
so this is just like the HUD.
This is the HUD, yes.
Okay.
But I want the HUD like I want this to be an in-browser game. And I want the HUD to be I want it to feel like consistent and immersive and that kind of stuff. So I think like web elements like what we have on here, not like this, but potentially could be a really good way of like if we dropped a canvas in here and like used the web elements for the HUD. I think it could be really good. So I don't know. That's my thoughts.
I think the only thing you have to kind of look out for is like, depending on how much animation and movement happens in that canvas element, like you might run into performance issues, like doing this on the web platform, unless you're using like OpenGL or something like that. But I think you have a while until you have to worry about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say go with little steps first. Just show maybe an avatar for you, an avatar for your opponent, and do some CSS transition to make them vibrate or something. That would be something cool, and that would be something that is like in reach of few nights of coding.
No, I like that's kind of the scope that I'm looking to do. Probably just start with 2 squares inside of some canvas thing or some. I think I was gonna use Phaser.js to try to do that. I've worked with that a little bit in the past.
What is Phaser?
Phaser. Let's take a look. It's like a JS game engine for. Yeah, there's several of them actually. But Phaser is what I've worked with in the past, and yeah, it's all right. It doesn't use TypeScript enough, in my opinion, but yeah, it's got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, you actually can do quite a bit with just like CSS. I have like I put together a website for one of my friends who made a game, and it's like all done with just like CSS and HTML, like not using like Canvas at all.
Show the website. Show the website.
Yeah,
I want to see it.
Is this it here? Yeah,
you can post it.
There we go. I'll post it in our chat if people want to follow along too.
Wow.
Oh, it's taking a while to load, but yeah, his game is like a match 3 game, and so he wanted to show like all the interactions, like basically kind of have a really short like how to play kind of thing. So if you move down the site, it'll like load up new. And yeah, like he just gave me some sprites from like the actual game. Yeah. And then we put it all in CSS. I think this is like probably the limit of like how much CSS you want to like deal with, and if you're doing this kind of thing, I don't know. It felt a little.
It really looks good. Like,
Yeah.
this
Thanks.
is cool.
Yeah, this looks awesome. Like the aesthetic of it all is super cool too. Like it definitely feels consistent. It definitely
Yeah.
feels like I see what you're going for immediately. Initially I was thinking for going for my game that maybe I could do something with just CSS, but people
Yeah.
I've talked to about that, they're like, no, probably at some point you want to go into like using a canvas or using.
You probably do, but like
Yeah.
for the I don't know, the stuff that you're working on right now, I don't think you need to.
Yeah, it's just one. If
It
it's
depends on how much time you want to
Yeah.
do it. Like at some point, if you want to, because right now you already know CSS, so that's in reach. But if
Well,
you
no
use
CSS.
Canvas, now you need to. Maybe you already know Canvas too, but if you need to learn the technology to then do it properly, like you're not finished, man.
Yeah.
It's a different set of problems that you have to.
Yeah.
Use the framework you already know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but I actually watched a really interesting talk at Cascadia. There was somebody who gave a talk about he does these like beautiful, huge like CSS HTML environments, and he I can't remember if he implemented Doom in or part of Doom in like HTML and CSS, but it was like incredible. Like he had like a 3D environment where you could just like walk around, and he was using sprites or like billboards to just like do all the animations, and he was using like some of the new like rendering, like I don't know, some kind of like light rendering to actually make like lights from candles. And it was like one of those things where like
That's crazy.
decided to do it just to kind of test the limits and like do something that was like a little bit, he knew it was like kind of ridiculous to like try and implement like a 3D game in like HTML and CSS, but was just like kind of doing it to like test the limits and see, I don't know, just he described it as like limited creativity or something like that. Like how if you have limits on what you're doing, like you are able to be more creative. Yes. And I thought it was just like really cool.
The guy who does Magic, Mark Rosewater, he has a lot of articles talking about how constraints are actually the key to creativity.
Yeah.
Embracing constraints.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's really true. Like sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I just have no ideas until there's like some constraint put on me. And then you just like, I don't know, it just kind of like gives you a wall to climb on.
Yeah. No, I love that about some pieces of software development too. Like I feel like if my job is make X work, like make some solid thing, some discrete thing true by the end of this, like this should work and look like this. And if I can just say, okay, I've done that, there's something super satisfying about that to me. My first degree was in liberal arts as a theology major. I felt so frustrated by like turning in papers, like because you can't prove anything. You can't prove anything either way.
Oh,
you can maybe just like make a convincing argument that might, persuade someone sometimes. I don't know. So being able to work with something this discrete, or you can say, I've accomplished business requirement X. That whole set of constraints feels very, very creative to me.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I don't know. I feel like we've kind of come full circle around on everything. So it's cool. It's cool. Thanks y'all so much for coming by and for chatting.
Thank you for the invitation.
So, this was fun.
Well, we got to do picks. It's
the
idea to do picks, and So apparently, what picks are, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong. Like on a podcast or something like that, the guests share something they're invested in, or something they think is cool, so that we can share that, and the guests, everyone watching, can like know what y'all think is cool. Is that right, Ben? Did I get it right?
I guess so.
What's your pick?
I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna find cool the thing I picked, but yeah. So
cool
okay.
Or interesting.
Okay, interesting for sure. Well, I hope. So the first one is how can I share it here? Like,
Yeah, I'll
can
throw
you-
it up on the screen for you. Sorry.
Okay, so it's designsystemrepo.com, which
Oh, yours
is
is-
basically a portfolio of design systems that are already existing that you can see. They are coming from like big companies or smaller companies, startups, or everything, and you can actually go through, watch them all, and see how they deal with the how they did their design system / component library and everything,
That's really cool.
which is really cool when you don't know what you want to do and you want to discover what the design system is. Like you're very new to this. This is, it shows you what a design system is by example, and that people are working on right now. So that's the first one. I have a second one, but I'm not sure I'm gonna give you right away. I'm gonna wait after Nicole.
Okay.
Oh.
What's your pick, Nicole?
Mine's really not
Pressure.
relevant. Okay. Mine's really not relevant to our discussion. It's just like kind of random. So my pick is the show Alone from the History Channel. I've been like watching it lately, and I don't know, I'm really into it. It's like basically there's a bunch of people, maybe like 10 people that they just send to a remote location like the Arctic Circle or
Is this it?
yeah, or Patagonia. One of them's in Vancouver Island, and they have to just like survive the longest, and the person who survives the longest gets like $500,000.
Oh, that's nice. What do they have to survive? Do they have some kind of tools or?
Yeah, they get 10 items that they can pick from like a short list of items. So usually they pick like a bow and arrow and a saw and something like that.
A lighter?
Oh, yeah, like one of them
Are
is.
these them?
Yeah. Those are like the list of items.
That's cool.
Almost every participant gets brings a Pharaoh stick, but like occasionally they don't, and it's kind of fun and interesting to see how and if they can make fire.
What is this? A Pharaoh stick?
A Pharaoh stick. It's like it's like a
Not
a way
this?
to make. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's two sticks that you
Pharaoh rod.
hit
Pharaoh
together
rod, I'm sorry. No, it's Pharaoh stick.
and produce like a sparkle.
Yeah. It's I haven't used one myself, but yeah, a Pharaoh rod is like a something that creates enough friction to light stuff on fire. You can tell how outdoorsy I am.
I remember when I was a kid, we had to do the campfires with the sticks. That was intense. But yeah, I didn't know there was rods for this.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't like, I think the idea is that they don't have like a fuel supply, so they need some way to
Stay warm.
without
Yeah.
a fuel supply.
That's super interesting. So this is just a show on the History Channel, right?
Yeah, it's a good
Cool.
show.
Nice.
That's my pick.
Thanks,
Now we need
Nicole.
to watch it.
I know. We should.
If you watch it, don't start on season 3. It's the season I started on, and it's more boring than a lot of
Okay.
the other ones.
I need to know how to use the Pharaoh stick.
Yeah.
No. That should have been your pick, is the Pharaoh stick.
Yeah.
Everyone needs one in their life.
Okay, I'll ask Jeff to send everybody a Pharaoh stick
Oh, yeah.
for
Brandon
in the-
Narwhal.
Yeah.
Narwhal Christmas present 2020. Pharaoh stick.
Yep.
Here we go. Cool. And Ben, I think you sent me your second pick. Is this?
Yeah,
Is this it?
yeah. Still in the design system world. That
yeah.
guy is kind of the reference if you want to know everything that is related to design system, UX, or kind of UI. He's a mountain of knowledge on that, and his
Yeah.
medium is like really awesome. He's the one that making progress in the field, I guess. So yeah, you can't go wrong reading his blog posts.
Yeah,
Very
definitely. Great pick.
Very cool. All right, y'all. Thanks so
Do you
much.
have some picks? You don't have some
I
picks?
don't need a picks. I'm the host.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't
Come
know.
on.
Let's see.
That's not fair.
Picks. I don't know. Go to watch Brandon's Angular Unfiltered stuff and his
Good pick. Good pick.
Yeah.
Brandon's really good.
Really
He's
good.
really good at stuff.
He also has a Twitch stream, right?
Yes. So I think he does early mornings on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. I want to say. Let me pull up his thing real quick so we can show it off.
From what time zone?
I think so. I think he's doing it at like 8:00 Eastern, so that's like 5 in the morning my time. So I usually miss them. But if I go to his schedule here, yeah, going early morning. I think he had one earlier today. Yeah, he was doing NGRX from scratch. Cool stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, if y'all
That's
follow
cool.
me, make sure you follow Brandon. He does a lot of awesome stuff. So does that count as a pick, Ben? Have I satisfied the requirement?
Yeah. That's good enough.
Good. Okay. I'm glad I have not displeased you with my pick. Cool. Well, thanks y'all so much for ZLS and
Thank you.
I really appreciate y'all as people and as people
Aw, I appreciate you too, Zach.
Channel. No, that's supposed to be a hug.
That's not awkward.
Nice.
All
Well,
right.
thanks everyone for stopping by. Tomorrow we've got Sam Julien coming on the show.
Hey,
nice.
Sam.
Hey.
Super excited for that. So if you're watching to now, make sure you stop by tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be in our earliest time slot because it's Friday. So 3
it's
hours
Friday.
earlier.
Woohoo.
So yeah, it hasn't this week. It
Oh
feels
yeah,
like
it's
this week
Friday
just
tomorrow.
flew by.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyways,
Yeah. See you. Good evening.
Bye.
well, let's hit the outro music. That'll be
Okay.
better. Here we go.